Hi all and welcome back to Barker-Stargazer's YouTube channel, a mainly crochet channel, and for our last video of spooky season / Halloween season we are doing my most popular series, AI to Reality. If you don't know about this series, what I do is I take a 2D AI generated image like these and I bring them into the three-dimensional real world, like this. So we are taking this dapper little dude's AI image this week and making him into a real three-dimensional boy. And if you saw my last AI to Reality, which was a pumpkin house, you know I've already kind of got a little bit of a cheat to start here because, well, his head's a pumpkin. So I've already wrote the pumpkin part of this pattern. And I don't even have to put the indents in like I did with the last project. So his facial features are really easy to go on as well. They're simply 2 circles for the eyes, a little triangle for the nose, and the smile is simply embroidered on. Very easy, these parts. There was a little bit more of a tricky construction element when it came to the pumpkin stalk. As it's quite thin at the end and has this lovely twirl, I decided to put some wire in. The vast majority of the stalk is made on the round in a continuous spiral, but just to get the sharp turn near the base of the stalk, I've put some short rounds in as well. Short rounds just increase the height on one side of your crochet piece and allow you to have more of a bend. And as I said, with the wiring, that let me create a lovely little spiral end to the pumpkin stalk. So that was the head done, and I decided to move on and do the lower half of the pumpkin first. So that's his shoes, trousers, and his belly. So they're in brown. These elements are all basically worked in one piece, putting the details in using rounds in the front or back loops only, and of course some increases and decreases to give the different shapes and widths that are required. So I finished one leg and then I moved on to the second leg. Now at the end of the second leg, I then continued on joining it to the first leg and then working up the crotch to the belly, which I did actually add a few more increases to give this little dude the little tiny pot belly that he has. And then it was onto his coat. This project really did come together quite quickly and quite easily, I have to admit. So the entire torso is just his coat. There's nothing underneath it at all. So to create the illusion of the coat hanging over the bottom half and for it hanging and for it closing over itself, I just did a few of these very simple crochet hats. So to have the coat layering over the trousers, the first round was worked in the front loops only, and then the next few rounds were worked normally, and then these rounds were turned down over the trousers. So then the top of the coat, which is worked backwards and forwards in rows, not rounds, because a few extra stitches were added to the end of the first row to create the coat's fastening overlap. These were started in the back loop only and continued up, obviously decreasing the closer we get to the arms and the head area. The collar is made in the same way the base of the jacket is, by working in the front loops only and then turning those rows down. A bit like the collar I've got here, so you work the piece all the way up and then you bend it down. Easy. Well, easy if you've done this before. The arms were simply made in the same way as the coat. Started with the hand details, then added the sleeves, creating the cuff by bending the first few stitches over, then reattaching the yarn to travel up the arm, decreasing a little bit as I went. Now I could have done the arms in a continuous spiral, but they would have looked slightly different to the rest of the coat, so I chose to work in rounds, doing a chain one and turn at the end of each one. And then I just went back over and slip stitched, closed any holes that appeared, which, to be honest, there weren't many. There is some light stuffing in the arms, but it's minimal. It's just to make it bulk out a little bit. There isn't any stuffing in the lower arms or the hands at all. And then that literally took us to the final detail, this dude's dapper little bow tie. And, well, if you've ever made a little bow in either fabric or yarn, you know these are very simple to make. The main part of the bow was made in a rectangle, which just gets pinched in the middle. The tail end of the bow is just a single chain of double crochet. That's single crochet for US terms. And then there's simply yarn wrapped around the middle to create the bow. And then it was assembly time. So I got his arms on, I got his head on, his bows on, and I thought I was done, and then I realised that I'd forgotten his buttons. But luckily, they were pretty easy to do. They are simply one quick round into a magic circle, and there it is. He's all done. And I think it came out so well. I am absolutely in love with him. He's so cute. Unfortunately, he doesn't stand independently. Maybe if I'd put some rice in his feet, it would have helped. So that would be something to think of when I come to do his patterns. I'll have a little bit of a play with that. Because when he was just legs, he did actually stand. So that's it for Halloween and spooky season. Yes, you were the last make. And I am now going straight into Christmas. So I have got AI to realities, little ones planned. And I've also got the big AI to reality coming as well. That's this one here. I'm going to be making presents for friends and family and picking out some free patterns to try that I found on Pinterest. So I'll see you guys either back here next week or I will see you in the shorts. Bye!